My name is Greg Toso, and I'm here with my co-presenter and my partner, Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
We're going to be moving pretty quickly so we can have room for your questions and answers. So let's talk first about the topics and agenda for today. We're going to speak about our approach to interventional psychiatry marketing. We think it's important that you understand our perspective in order to be able to get a view as to what things we present and why we're thinking the way we think. Secondly, is we're going to talk about July and August activities to elevate your brand awareness. That was one of the areas that we wanted to be sure we covered. Review of operational, online, and offline readiness. You need to be ready if you're going to have patients call you. Review of the 4 key fall campaigns. And then we're going to go to questions and answers. We're going to unmute your mic and allow you to speak. We're also going to give you an opportunity to write in your questions. You'll see that there is a chat section there. You can easily send us a note if you want immediately so we can kind of keep a little queue of some questions. So I'm going to now turn this over to Nicole to talk about Sapele Marketing's approach to marketing for interventional psychiatry.
Well, again, thanks for joining us. And if you're here, then you probably already know that digital marketing is a very, very complex topic. It encompasses so many aspects, everything from social media to SEO and brand awareness and so on. So at Sapele, we've developed a successful 3-pillar approach to marketing. The 3 pillars, as you can see, are direct consumer lead generation, healthcare colleague awareness, and internal practice advocacy. So if you are working in those 3 areas, you will start to see growth across the board. Another thing that makes us a little bit different than everyone else is we believe in the value of micro experiences. And this is really because the 0 to 60 in 5-second mindset does not work when it comes to marketing in your industry. People want to be nurtured. They don't want to be sold. So when we work on that approach, our micro experiences are more of a, it's not an impulse purchase. It's a way to nurture a relationship with a patient. It's the first introduction they'll get before they ever come in your office. So you want to make it a good first impression. We also, it's important to understand the difference between active and passive users. And this is something that a lot of people misunderstand because active users are going to be your Google users, your people who are actively searching for help in your area, help for depression and help for their symptoms. Passive users, we want to cash in on that market as well. Those are the people who, stumble upon something because they were properly targeted on social media. So we want to make sure your marketing approaches cover both active and passive users. And another big thing, as you might have guessed, is that your website content must make the visitors stay. So we call these sticky websites, and it's a huge part of our goal because if you're doing all of this generating from Google, from social media, and putting them onto the next step of the funnel, and they bounce off of your website for a variety of reasons, then everything's worthless at that point. So one of the things we do is make sure that our clients' websites are sticky websites. They have engaging content and a clear call to action to make the patient want to stay and move on to the next step. So, since we're here in July, we already have started to look ahead to the end of the year because good content is planned content. So one of the things we do, we're content creators and we're storytellers. So we've already looked ahead and planned out month by month blog topics. And there's a lot of trending categories when we talk about Twitter and hashtags. So we really want to make sure we're ahead of the game on those and have them ready to go. But when you're doing digital, Google, Facebook for sure, Instagram, Twitter, you don't necessarily need to worry about things like Snapchat and all the other social media platforms. It's not worth it to jump on all of them. It's better to just focus on the main ones that can really drive traffic and interest in your practice. So again, just to reiterate the guidelines we use when creating content, the active and passive users, which I've already explained, focusing on one objective per ad campaign If you don't do that, then you're really, really wasting money. So you need to decide if your goal is to drive leads, if your goal is to do brand awareness, and you can have two ads running at the same time. But again, one objective per ad. And you always want to make sure you're spending the majority of your advertising dollars on lead generation. That's obviously going to be the biggest ROI for your spending there. Page likes are great and we encourage those. That's part of branding. But really, if we can get the leads and people in the chairs and in your practice, that's our main goal. And a big thing also is understanding what the social media platforms mean. Twitter is not used the same way as Facebook, the same way as LinkedIn. So, when we talk about Twitter, it's a great way to connect with colleagues. LinkedIn is a great way to spread healthcare colleague awareness. And Facebook is a great way to connect with potential patients and get them on to the next step, which is your website, making a phone call or filling out a form. For planned activities, you definitely want to have Google Ads on daily to capture those active users. Facebook postings, you can aim for 13 posts a month and include 2 to 3 blogs for good content marketing. And then Facebook and advertising, the difference between advertising and boosting, you want to make sure you're mixing those into your content daily as well.
So Nicole, let me take it from here. So let's talk about internal practice awareness, another part of our pillar here. We find this to be a very, very important part of every practice, and you need to nurture this on a regular basis. Some guidelines is that your staff needs to be knowledgeable, and there needs to be educational materials for a patient to self-identify and to refer to another. Let's think about that again. You want to be able to have a patient be ready so that if you do talk to them about TMS or they raise their hand, they've already self-identified and they also have enough information to refer another to your clinic. Let's talk about the activities. One is social media follow-us signs. People should know if you're on social media, if you truly are on social media and you're posting on a regular basis and you're doing blogs and advertising, people should know that you're there. Posters in and out of the TMS suite, posters that talk about what TMS is, about the services that you provide, ways for people to see content in the office to understand more about your key messages. You should have personalized brochures and you should have newsletters on relevant topics. They should parallel the 4 campaigns that we have coming up that we'll talk a little bit more about. Let's talk about healthcare colleague awareness, which is a really important aspect. And the interesting thing is it can be done kind of old school. It doesn't have to be done digitally, but old school, really meaning through postal mailings. And why this is important, healthcare colleague awareness that causes referrals from other healthcare providers. And I've done the math, and the closing rate is over 50% when those individuals are educated as to what a TMS patient looks like. Guideline is focus on those you know and those that trust you. It's an automatic mix. If people are already referring to you or have referred to you or are colleagues of yours, those are easy individuals to keep updated on your progress. The other is to build new relationships that are connected to you. When I say connected, those that may be in mental health that live around the corner, those that may know other individuals that you are connected with. So let's talk about activities. It's pretty straightforward. 2 newsletters in this time period, we believe from July through December makes sense. 2 or 3 postcards to the new group and also to the group that you already have nurtured, and 3 email blasts. And all of those fit within the campaign. So let's also talk about operational readiness. And this is really a small list. We're going to send each of you a more thorough list, and we'll also send you a link to an assessment for you to make. But operational readiness is real important. You can't let good leads land in places that are not fertile and well watered. And so let's talk about the website. The phone number should be visible and working. Are your links in your website and are the submissions working? Also, call to action. Make sure there's a call to action on your website. We'll talk a little bit more about some really creative call to actions that make people raise their hands, things like lead magnets. Also, mobile friendliness. We're finding in also our client's website, mobile friendliness is overtaking desktop. And it's going to be even higher when we talk about social media and we talk about Google ads. So make sure that you've evaluated your website for mobile friendliness. And if it's not mobile friendly, make sure you're in touch with somebody to help you get it to be mobile friendly. Also, is your content creative? Does it address some of the major concerns that people have? Major concerns are, what is TMS? Can TMS help me? Will my insurance cover TMS? And why should I call you? And why should I trust you? One part that I didn't have here is your reputation online. About 75% of all patients look online to make sure that who they're choosing makes a lot of sense. And those individuals who are struggling with depression and other mental health concerns are not as confident, and they need as much information as possible and positive information for them to choose you and to make that call. Your staff is real important. Who's responsible for collecting and following up on leads? Do you have some type of a lead log so that you can track that? What about knowledgeable individual? Not everyone in your office is going to be completely knowledgeable about TMS. You're much better off having an individual who is not very knowledgeable but is picking up the phone to make sure that they hand that phone off or tell the individual that someone who has more experience than me will call them back. Also, an immediate response is real important. We believe that within 2 hours, an email inquiry should be turned around, and we think any benefits inquiry should be done within 24 hours. One thing that you may want to always ask is, what is the best time for us to speak when you're collecting their information for the benefits inquiry? Always try to nail down a time instead of just sending it off or just leaving them a voicemail. Try to set up a time so that you continue this process. So I'm going to turn it over now to Nicole, who's going to review the 4 key fall campaigns.
Yeah, and so when we talk about content and the fall campaigns that we have planned, it really goes back on the point that Greg said about nurturing that relationship and having them trust you. Content is a great place to do that. So we're in July and August. We're looking at caregiver content, educating and identifying, helping people that are close to you. You guys probably know that caregivers are an essential part in a plan of care. So Facebook and some ad targeting really allows you to try to reach those people and get your message through to them. So that would be our July and August topic. Suicide Prevention Month is in September, so we would recommend starting with that. This is really about helping someone recognize when they're in crisis or someone is in crisis. So this is really a great time to insert your authority, to talk about depression as a disease, and more importantly, it's an opportunity to spread awareness about second-line treatments like ketamine, esketamine, and TMS. Depression in the holidays, stress, depression, how they're linked. A lot of good work could be done here with self-help guidance. People who are really feeling down or have some seasonal depression are looking for those self-help guides. So it's a great time to implement them. And then last but not least, we have the New Year's resolution, self-care, a new beginning for wellness. This is a great time to put together some motivational pieces. You know, people are really looking to change for the better at that time of year. All right, so a closer look at specifics when it comes to creating your content. The first thing you want is to really make sure it's engaging. You have a lot of competition on social media platforms to get people to stop scrolling, so having a quality photo with a great title, that's going to get you the click. You also want it to be relevant. If you're spending any money on advertising and boosting, you want to make sure that you're putting forward relevant content to the people that you're targeting, so you want to really hit those pain points. And again, the content mix that I talked about briefly before with the Thanksgiving lead magnet, you want to create a mix to appeal to active and passive users, social media versus SEO. You want to make sure you have clear, direct call to action, surveys, signups. You, even though that's your most important, you also want to make sure you continue to spread awareness and education through branding. And then the motivational pieces are also a great incorporation to your social media. People love sharing quotes and feel good messages, and it really gives you a great opportunity to expand upon your micro experience and, sort of showing a humanistic side of connection and self-help type content. And now we're just going to flip through a few specifics that we would recommend, and some of these we've already implemented, but here's a quick look at the 5 guidelines to help college freshmen adjust. That might be a lead magnet that we use. Here's one that we use, a blog example, 5 healthy ways to start every day, and we have that resized there for Instagram. That's a graphic that we created. We've also got, with September, why are suicides on the rise? That's a newsletter that went out. Here's another lead magnet, the 5 proven benefits of TMS. People really want to know that. That's been a great one that's worked well for us in a variety of markets. Again, just back to the point of having a picture. You need that scroll stopper on social media to get people to stop. So always make sure you really put a lot of thought into that picture. You could have the best content with a terrible picture, and it's not going to be worth anything. And then here's just an example of our Thanksgiving dinner fund to share that we used last year, but that's just, again, an example of a lighter content mix. And then managing holiday sadness and grief, really hitting some pain points here and providing some good self-help resources. There's just another newsletter and some internal office branding and awareness that you'll want to have up to really educate clients here. This one specifically for remission of depression. It's your job to have those resources available for the patients who are self-identifying. An example of a postcard, even in the world of digital media, never underestimate the power of a postcard. So we've still got that on our agenda. And here's an example of one of the strong call to actions that we use. How well are you managing your clinical depression symptoms? People really like to do that self-analysis, and it sort of makes them comfortable and lets them do it in their own space. So that's been a great one for us.
And so the question that came up was about micro experiences and the value of micro experiences in social media. I was wondering if you can comment on that for our listeners.
A lot of this presentation was about creating a micro experience. And we use them really to initiate a trustful relationship. Like I said, it really is the first introduction that they're ever going to get before going into your practice. So it's important to make them feel good. A lot of the topics like your content, your blogs, the type of content that you're putting out, that's really important for making them feel like they're starting to build a relationship with you. It can take a few touches to book an appointment. You're in an industry where you're promoting TMS therapy and creating awareness around that. It's a lot different than, like I said, an impulse purchase or something they're just going to do as a matter of fact. So those micro experiences are so valuable. We do it through blogs. We do it through engaging questions. We do it through motivational pieces. And a really good micro experience isn't always just sell your practice. It makes them feel good. And the main thing I think of as a content creator is really explaining, their life before and their life after, and just really hitting home with your audience in a variety of ways. So the second or third time they see an ad or somebody shares a post that has your practice's logo on it, they're really remembering, what a great experience they've had with your brand so far.
Thank you, Nicole. We will end this podcast at this time so we can keep our time under 20 minutes. And we would encourage anyone, if you'd like to know more information about SapeleMarketing.com and how we can help the interventional psychiatrist, please visit our website at SapeleMarketing.com or email or call us for any information about how we can help you grow your interventional psychiatry practice. Bye for now.